Okay, this is Tahir Benjeloun's The Sand Child. This is originally written in French, and this is the translation. We're starting with chapter 1 on my copy right here. It's page 1. Uh, chapter 1, The Man. First, that face, lengthened by a few vertical lines like scars dug long ago by sleepless nights, a badly shaven face, worked by time. On it could be read some deep wound, which a clumsy gesture of the hand or a lingering look from an ill-intentioned eye would be enough to reopen. He avoided light, daylight, lamplight, even the light of the full moon. Light laid him bare, penetrated beneath his skin, revealing his shame and unshed tears. He felt it pass over his body like a flame threatening to burn away his mask, or like a blade slowly tearing away the veil of flesh that maintained the necessary distance between himself and others. Without that protecting distance, he would be thrown, naked and defenseless, into the hands of those who had constantly pursued him with their curiosity, mistrust, even hatred, because they found it difficult to bear the silence and intelligence of his face, its overbearing, enigmatic presence. Noise disturbed him. Since he retired to his upper room overlooking the terrace, he could no longer bear the outside world. He communicated with it once a day when he opened the door to Malika, the servant who brought him food, mail, and a bowl of orange blossoms. He was fond of the old woman. She was part of the family, discreet and gentle. She never asked questions. A certain complicity united them. The noise. The noise of voices, shrill or dull, the noise of vulgar laughter or monotonous singing from radios, the noise of buckets being knocked over in the yard, the noise of children torturing a blind cat or a three-legged dog lost in some alleyway where animals and simpletons get trapped. The noise of the cries and lamentations of the beggars, the strident noise of the badly recorded call to prayer emitted 5 times a day from a loudspeaker, no longer a call to prayer, but an incitement to riot. The noise of the city rising and hanging suspended just above his room until the wind dispersed or dissipated it. He had developed allergies. His body, permeable and irritated, reacted to the slightest attack, absorbed it, and maintained it in all its intensity. Sleep became impossible. His senses were not dulled, as one might have thought, but had grown particularly acute, unsparingly keen. They had taken over all the room in that body that life had left vacant and destiny diverted. His sense of smell missed nothing. His nose brought him every scent. He said that he had the nose of a blind man, the hearing of a dead man still warm, and the sight of a prophet. But his life was not the life of a saint. Since his retreat into the room upstairs, no one dared to speak to him. He needed time, perhaps months, to collect himself, put some order into his past, correct the dire image of himself that those around him had created recently, meticulously prepare for death, and sort out the big notebook to which he consigned everything. It was his private journal, containing his secrets, perhaps just one secret, and also the sketch of a story to which he alone held the keys. A thick, persistent fog gently claimed him, protecting him from the looks of suspicion and the curses that his relations and neighbors exchanged outside their houses. That white layer reassured him, helped him to sleep, and nourished his dreams. His retreat did not upset his family. They had grown used to seeing him sink into long silences or sudden, unjustifiable fits of rage. Something indefinable was coming between him and the rest of the family. He must have his reasons, of course, but only he could say what they were. He had decided that his world was his own and that it was superior to that of his mother and sisters, very different in any case. Actually, he thought they had no world. They were content to live on the surface of things, without making many demands, in accordance with his authority, his laws, and his wishes, without really talking among themselves. Didn't they suppose that his retreat must have become necessary, because he could no longer control his body, his gestures, his innumerable nervous tics that could at any moment disfigure his face? For some time now his walk had ceased to be that of a dictatorial man, an unchallenged master of the big house, a man who had taken his father's place and regulated the life of the household down to the smallest of details. His back had become slightly stooped, his shoulders had fallen into disgrace. Now, narrow and soft, they could no longer lay claim to a loving head or a friend's hand. He felt an incalculable load weighing down on the upper part of his back. When he walked, he tried to throw his shoulders back and stand erect. He dragged his feet as if he had to pick up his body. Yet there had been no reason to expect this sudden deterioration. Insomnia brought frequent uncontrollable disturbances to his nights, but beyond that, ever since a break, a sort of fracture, had come between himself and his body, his face had aged and his walk had become that of a handicapped person. His death, he knew, would come neither from a heart attack nor a stroke. Rather, a profound melancholy would put an end, probably in his sleep, to a life that was so unusual it could not bear to fall, after all its years and ordeals, into the banality of the everyday. His death would be as singular as his life, except that he would have burned away his masks, would be naked, absolutely naked, shroudless, buried straight into the earth, which would eat his limbs until it brought him back to himself. On the 30th day of his retreat, he began to see death invade his room. Sometimes he would hold it at a distance, as if to tell it that it had come a little early, and that he still had a few urgent matters to attend to. In the night he gave it the form of an elderly spider that was weary but still vigorous, imagining it in this way stiffened his sinews. At dawn there was no spider. He was alone, surrounded by rare objects, sitting, rereading the pages that he had written during the night. Sleep came in the course of the morning. One day he heard that an Egyptian poet had justified keeping a journal with the following argument: From however far one comes, it is always from oneself. A journal is necessary to say that one has ceased to be. His aim was precisely that, to say that he had ceased to be. And what had he been? The question fell after a long, embarrassing silence. The storyteller, sitting on the mat, his legs crossed like a tailor's, took out a great notebook from a briefcase and showed it to his audience. The secret was there in those pages, woven out of syllables and images. He entrusted it to me before he died. He made me swear not to open it until 40 days after his death, long enough to allow him to die completely. 40 days of mourning for us and of journeying through the darkness of the earth for him. I opened it on the night of the 41st day. I was overwhelmed by perfume. I read the first sentence and understood nothing. I read a paragraph and understood nothing. I read the whole first page and was illuminated. Tears of astonishment came to my eyes. My heart pounded. I was in possession of a rare book, a book containing a secret, spanning a brief, intense life, written through the night of a long ordeal, hidden under large stones and protected by the angel of malediction. This book, my friends, can be neither borrowed nor loaned. It cannot be read by innocent minds. The light that comes from it will blind those who are unprepared. I have read this book. I have deciphered it for others. You can gain access to it only by traversing my nights and my body. I am that book. I have paid with my life to read its secrets. Having reached the end, after months of sleepless nights, I felt the book become embodied within me, for such is my aim. Soon, my good people, the day will swing into darkness. I shall find myself alone once more with the book, and you will be left alone with impatience. Rid yourself of the feverishness I see in your eyes. Be patient. Dig with me the tunnel of questioning and learn to wait, not for my sentences, for they are empty, but for the song that will slowly rise from the sea and guide you on the road of the book. Know, too, that the book has 7 gates pierced in a wall, at least 2 yards thick, and with the height of at least 3 strong men. As we proceed, I shall give you the keys to open those gates. In truth, you possess the keys yourself, but you do not know it, and even if you did, you would not know how to turn them, still less under which tombstone you must hide them. But enough. We had better go before the sky bursts into flame. Come back tomorrow, unless the secret book abandons you. The men and women rose in silence and, without saying a word, dispersed into the crowd in the square. The storyteller folded the sheepskin and placed his pens and inkwells in a small bag. The notebook he carefully wrapped in a piece of black silk and put into his briefcase. Before he left, a small boy handed him a loaf of black bread and an envelope. He walked slowly across the square and disappeared in the dusk. That's the end of chapter 1.